Hi guys, hope you're all doing well. First up, the channel is doing alright. Just ticked over 500,000 views. So if you have subbed already, a massive thank you, a huge thank you. It's really great. And if you haven't subbed already, what are you doing? You're missing out on all this great Taycan content and a sprinkling of McLaren as well, and we can squeeze it in there as well. And of course a little bit of Renault 5 if you like those. But really do appreciate it. Also, if you have any suggestions for content that you'd like to see covered relating to this car, the Taycan Turbo S, please do drop it in the comments and I will do my best to try and cover it at some point in the future. I'll endeavour to keep the content coming as regularly as I can, and there's still a lot to cover with this car. Plenty of milestones coming up, plenty of user experiences that I can share with you to help you make the decision if you're looking at buying one of these, or indeed you might already own one. And the question I want to try and answer is this one: is the Taycan Turbo S the best road car ever made? I just think it might be. Now that is a huge statement, and yes, what do we mean by road car? What is a road car versus a driver's car? A driver's car, that thing you hear all the time. Oh, isn't it a great driver's car though, isn't it? Never really quite worked out what that is. I guess it means it's fun to drive around in, right? Well, plenty of road cars do that as well. A road car is something I would consider to be a car that you can use as a daily driver to get round as comfortably and as quickly as possible, obviously looking at the speed limits as well. No naughtiness, as we always say. But a road car really needs to be as versatile as possible. And here are some of the reasons why I think the Taycan is absolutely brilliant at that. The Turbo S specifically that we're in now. So, the first reason that I want to put forward for the case here is simply the comfort of this car. With the air suspension just being let through a gap there, okay, I'll go. With the air suspension, it is absolutely brilliant. Now, the problem with a road car is the roads. In the UK, the roads are very, very sad. I mean, you can probably, I don't know if you can see that there, just a queue of traffic everywhere. They're always busy. There's speed cameras everywhere. There's potholes. They really do not afford you any chance of having any fun anymore, it seems, legally of course, but it just seems like driving is becoming more and more of a chore, unfortunately. And it is sad, it's really sad that the pleasure and the fun is being eroded from driving on an almost daily basis. As a motorist, it just breaks my heart to see that it's just becoming harder and harder to go out and have some fun in a car. So the Taycan does a brilliant job of being stuck in traffic, getting over those bumps in the road, and being smooth and quiet. Now, if you're in a road car and you're on a longer journey, something that's loud and raucous and makes a load of noise when it upshifts, and a big loud engine and hard suspension does get grating after a while. It does become like, you know, you kind of want to scrape yourself out of that car and take a well-earned break just to kind of chill out, unfold yourself and whine. But I find long trips in this car absolutely breeze by effortlessly. It is so good on long trips. The comfort levels in the normal suspension mode are absolutely brilliant in this car, and it does such a good job. The other great feature on this, of course, is the adaptive cruise control, which I ticked as an optional extra, so when I am sat in traffic on the motorway you can turn it on. Also, it is a nice feature to turn on when you want a bit of extra safety, a bit of extra confidence that the car in front is being watched. Obviously, you know, keep your eyes on the road at all times, but just provides you that additional level of security as well, because I do find if you are in long queues of traffic, sometimes your mind really does start to wander. Well, my mind does it. Well, my mind wanders at the best of times anyway, so I find, you know, when your attention goes a little bit, it's just good to have that on and maintain that computer-aided focus upon the car in front. The other great thing this car has going for it is the power and the instantaneous nature of that power. You put your foot down and this car goes, which is why it's very safe for pulling out in smaller gaps than you might consider normally. and just getting out and getting on your way. You don't have to wait for any shift. It's not going to mess up on a downshift or something. You don't have a clutch to worry about. You might get a bit wrong. It just is very safe in that aspect of just being able to pull out on the road and get in front of cars nice and safely, and it just inspires that confidence, and it's really very good at doing that. The other really important point going for it is it's an EV, and you could say this potentially as a negative as well, of course, you know, the charging issues that we might have on the UK infrastructure on longer trips. But vehicles, EVs specifically, get quite a lot of perks still. Zero road tax, obviously this is all going to change. Really low benefit in kind if you're in the UK. The parking, for example, if you get in parking in Westminster, you pay for 10 minutes and you get 4 hours free. In London, of course, there's no congestion charge with an EV. If you're going to destinations, very often they'll have dedicated EV spaces at the front of those destinations for trickle charging your EV overnight, which in some places, of course, you can do for free as well. So there are definitely some perks there. Now, the sad thing is, if you're charging on infrastructure, it is now more expensive to fill up an EV than it is to to fill up an EV with electrons than it is to fill up a petrol car with petrol. It is now officially more expensive because of the kilowatt hour charge on infra, not at home, right? This is outdoor charging points. If you don't have any preferential plans as well, it tends to be more expensive. So that's something you've got to watch out for. So for me, all those little perks that you get as an EV driver are nice. They help when you're being a road driver. Now, here's the big caveat here, and this is a very important point. I do say road car explicitly because on the track with this thing, it really starts to fall apart a little bit. And there's a previous video I've uploaded where I take this thing around Silverstone, and it's good, very surprising. It's very good, but definitely not great and heavy, and apparently a complete pain to charge the thing because the range disappears. So that is why I am saying road car specifically in this video. That's a very important fact. This car just does it brilliantly. Could you argue that, for example, a McLaren 720S is a great road car? Well, I mean, if I was in one, it may still happen at some point, watch this space. If I was in one of those, yeah, of course, I'd be loving it so much I probably wouldn't care, but it isn't as practical as this. It isn't as comfortable as this, no way. Been in one, of course. And it probably would get a bit grating after long trips, potentially. I'm a tall guy, right, so I do have to fold up a little bit. So that's why this car, I'm saying, is probably one of the best road cars ever made, the Taycan. And here's the other thing as well, right? This is Porsche's first foray into EV territory. This is the first EV these guys have made, and they have absolutely smashed it for a first car. Yes, it's got its foibles, it's got its challenges, it's got things that go wrong, but for a first pass, Porsche engineers, I doff my cap to you. Well done. You have absolutely knocked this out the park. So it makes me very, very excited for just what might be coming down the road with, for example, that Cayman EV platform as well. So really, as a first pass, they've absolutely knocked it out the park. So if this sets the benchmark for an EV from Porsche, I'm very excited indeed. And you know, I do include other manufacturers in this as well. So for example, Nissan's first foray into, Nissan be making cars forever, their first foray into EVism was of course the Leaf in 2010, which was pretty much panned. And I appreciate, you know, it's not the same level as this, but things like the range and the battery swap outs that die after a while, just, it didn't seem like they put as much heart and soul into that as a first pass EV than Porsche did into the Taycan, regardless of spec and cost, etc. Obviously, you know, it's got to be good when you're paying this kind of money, but yeah, Nissan didn't get it quite right. And then look at Tesla's first EV, the Roadster, which was of course released back in 2008 in collaboration with Lotus, a lot of parts off the Elise, right? They did a pretty good job, I've got to say, you know, considering the technology that was available back then in the day. But of course it was panned for being a bit too heavy, the range was pretty much diabolical, And yes, fair play, it was their first ever car as Tesla, right? Admittedly leaning heavily on Lotus, but look also at where they are now. They've come a long way, right? So the next Roadster, I'm not a Tesla fan, right, but I'm genuinely excited about what the next Tesla Roadster could hold in store for us. It seems like it could be a very exciting car, both in terms of looks and in terms of performance as well. So yeah, I mean, I just have to say I'm very, very impressed with this as a road car. There's so many other areas to cover, and I'll keep bringing content forward, focusing on more specifics as we go forward, but I just wanted to put the case forward there. You know, if you haven't driven one of these, if you haven't taken one out for a test drive, please do so at your earliest opportunity. Get on board and try it if you're considering one, because I'm confident you'll be blown away. Lots of people really do heavily rate this car when they get in it and take it for a drive. They're just blown away by how comfortable, how quick, how smooth, how effortless it is when it gets around. MR2 there, you don't see many of those around anymore. Nice. But that's it for this video. Really do appreciate you watching. Thanks for supporting the channel if you do, and I'll keep the content coming. That's it for this one. Bye for now. See you soon.